Hello and welcome. I am Mr. Business. Yes, you may be surprised. See that I'm a little roly-poly dog who's eating a lot of ramen and now is sitting in a ramen bowl. But I am teaching you business. So who am I? Well, let's keep this simple. Number one, I have a MBA. Means Masters in Business Administration. You're asking, how did dog get this? Well, don't worry about it. We'll talk about that later. What else do? I do consulting, all right? And I teach business. Those are three things, okay? So I have an MBA right here. I do consulting, okay? What's consulting? It's a little bit big word for some people. It means I tell people how to do business better, all right? Let's put it that way. People do business better, all right? After that, third thing, I teach business, all right? So moving on, what are we here to going to learn about today? What are we here for? What are we going to learn about? Well, since this is a starter episode of Mr. Business, we're going to go back to Business 101. This is what they typically use for beginner courses. The problem is, a lot of people, even professionals, really need to go back over the basics. They don't understand the basics. They think they're really smart. And some of them actually are pretty smart. I'll be quite honest. Some are pretty smart. Yeah, pretty smart. But when you forget the basics, doesn't matter how smart you are, you're going to look dumb at some point. So it's always good to review the basics, okay? So this is Business 101. All right, so what is the first question you should ask yourself if you want to get into business? If you want to be a person who starts a business, works at a business, and anything has to do with business, this is probably the first question you should ask yourself. Looking at this, what is business? What is it? All right, people study it, people do it. What is it? What is business? What's your business? What's my business? What is business in general? All right, we're going to take a look at that. We're going to answer that question here today. And I want you to think to yourself real quick, what is business? What is it? Okay, think to yourself real quick what business actually is. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the first part of this answer. First part. Everyone ready? This one's going to be pretty simple. First part of a business is this. You are there to alright, getting closer. You think you know what it is? Has to do with eating. Create. 8 was the part with eating. Create. What are we creating as the business? We create. Any ideas? We got a VA. LUE, create value. This is the first part of a business. A business exists to create value. All right? This is why we interact with businesses, because they give us something that we want. All right? There needs to be some sort of value generated. All right? This is the first thing that must happen. We must create value. Okay? With that, I want you to think, what else? What else could there possibly be that business has? Well, now that you've created value, what else does a business have to do? This is the part that people usually get correct. Okay, let's take a look at this. What else can we do? Well, it starts with another C. You're going to... Starts with a cap, ends with a chur. Oh, you got it. Capture. There we go. Capture. What are we capturing? Well, the first one was value. Second one is... What's the second one? Same thing. Yes, it is the same thing. You're going to capture value. In other words, and this is what I like to put in parentheses a lot of times, okay? Get paid, okay? If you create value, you got to figure out a way to get paid for that value. You got to figure out a way to get something back for what you're doing, okay? Businesses, a lot of times, are really good at one or the other. Either they're really good at creating value or capturing value. But if you're not very good at the end part, which is capture value, your business isn't going to be around too long. You got to have some form, some way to capture value. Now you're going to ask me and say, well, does this represent all businesses? Do all businesses of all the types, a good business, evil business, illegal business, do all businesses follow these two principles? Yes, they do. All right, so let's take a look at this. Let's do some examples real quick, okay? So we'll go and put this on the left. We're going to go ahead and have our create, okay? So create. There we go. Sometimes it doesn't write so well. You just have to rewrite stuff. We make it all better. We keep working at this, okay? Create value. Okay? So we put these together. And then, after that, we have our capture value. And then we're going to run through some of these businesses. So capture value. Capture value. All right. So let's say I have a nonprofit. A nonprofit. Would a nonprofit do both of these things? Does anyone have an idea what a nonprofit business is? That means when everything's said or done, you're not expecting to make profit after your expenses are paid, okay? So you have to have some money coming in, so you still have to capture value. You got to have donations, you got to have grants, you got to have something. Just because you're not going to do anything to make money in the end doesn't mean you have to have money to run. It doesn't mean you can't do this without having money to run with. You must have money at some point in order to work a nonprofit. Nonprofits that don't do good at capturing value, that don't get the grants, that don't get supporters, they're not around here very often. Even a nonprofit follows this thing. And of course, do they create value? Yes, that's why we donate to them. If I see a nonprofit doing good and I see them very efficient with their money, they're going to get a lot more of my money. Now, if I go look at that nonprofit and I find out they're very foolish with their money and they don't create very much value, well, I'm not going to be wanting to give them much stuff, all right? And I think it's funny, some nonprofits, they almost focus too much on capture value, and that's where some ethics come into. It's like, well, if you're a nonprofit, are you supposed to focus more on creating value? Or do you focus more on marketing, which is what their marketing is to capture value, to get people to donate to them so that then they can go help people with the money. I mean, you got some interesting entries there, but overall, nonprofit, does it describe both of these? Yes. Nonprofit has to have both of those. Okay? What about an illegal business, okay? What about an illegal business? We'll just put bad business, because some businesses might not be very good for society, okay? And we're like, but aren't they supposed to create value? You can create a negative value and still make money, all right? It's very simple. They're focusing on capturing value, and a lot of times when we think about bad business, it's just people who kind of got you in a spot where you don't have any choices anymore, okay? So, for example, you could create a negative value business. Let's give an example of it. How about this? You think about what business would have a negative value, okay? Negative value, okay? Negative value business. Would it be possible to have a negative value business reflected in these two statements? Because you can create a negative value, okay? This would be such as like loan sharking or things like that, upon which you're not really creating value for society, okay? You're more just kind of leeching off of it, which in the end means you're really good at capturing value even though you're not creating much value for business, okay? The optimal thing, and that's the last thing, the thing we really hope that you have is just a good regular business which creates value. So if you think about any business, they're going to create value of some sort. So what's creating value mean? Anything that makes something better than it was before. It adds more than what there was, okay? So almost any business you can think of. For example, if I go to an ice cream shop, well, what's the value they're creating? Well, they're giving me a chance to have ice cream. Right? Even if they had to buy the ice cream before, they have it there ready for me to eat. They're adding some value to some part in that chain of business, okay? There has to be some value added somewhere that they're doing, and then they're seeing how much value they can capture based on how much they charge, okay? And that's it. So you have good, nonprofit, bad, illegal. All businesses are described by this model right here. All businesses. There's not one business that I can think of that doesn't, okay? Now, maybe you can. This would be a good thing in the comments section, okay? I want you to think in the comments section, is there any business that doesn't have to appeal to these two things, create value or capture value? Remember, I even covered bad or negative value businesses. Okay, you have a lot of hostile businesses. They can have a negative value, but they're still going to capture value off of that. They're not going to be good for society, but they'll find a way to get and continue on going. Okay? Now, here's the one question I really want to capture or focus on, okay? Let me refocus my mind here, okay? What businesses do you think are the best at creating value? What ones create the most value? Okay, so we have create. This is for the comment section. What businesses create the most value? And what businesses do you feel are the best at capturing value? What businesses do you feel are the best at getting you money? Even though they may or may not provide a lot, What businesses are really good at making sure they get paid? Okay? Think about that. What do you think would be the best business that creates value? What do you think is the most valuable business for society as far as creating value for society? And what do you think is the best business that's good at getting itself its own money and resources back, getting paid? Okay? So that's question number 1 right here. Question number 1. Question number 2. Also, number 3. If you have any other questions, they could be random. I'll start looking through the comments, and that's going to give me ideas for future videos, okay? So look at this, figure out what you want, and ask me more questions. Okay? More questions. Hopefully by the next episode I'll get this pen fixed. Usually it's a lot better than this. Alright. So, with that said, hopefully you guys learned something today. A good way to remember this: what's a business? A business is CC. They create value, they capture value, okay? In other words, do you see, if I put CC together, do you see value? All right, that's it. Create and capture. That's what businesses do. All right, take care, everyone. And remember, if you want more Mr. Business, I can cover any subject you can think about at business. We're going to be talking about marketing, accounting, you name it, networking, leadership, motivation. We're going to cover it all. Okay, at some point, sometime, we're going to cover it all. Just become part of the community, ask some questions, subscribe, like, all that, share. But the main thing is just join us in our community. This is not just about me. It's about what you guys want to learn and what we want to discuss as a group. Okay, because I've looked at a lot of business sites, and they are very poor at getting business people together to talk about business issues. Okay, whether it be business theory, whether it be business in the news today, which I will start covering some business in the news today. Well, I'll maybe do some shows specifically on business trends and what's happening today. In fact, if we get enough viewers and followers, it'll be a daily show. Just call it Business Today, and I will go over everything you want that's happening today and how it's actually affecting us based on the theories that actually exist. All right. So again, hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm going to be a little bit roly-poly here. If you got a couple minutes, you can always learn business with Mr. Business. Take care, everyone.